Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to call our workshop session to order at this time. Discussion regarding any items on the regular agenda? And there is none. And believe it or not, we're going to adjourn this workshop session. That was the quickest one I think we've ever done. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn the workshop session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And we will call our regular session to order.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we couldn't be more grateful at this time of year of Thanksgiving and of the Christmas holidays in honor of your Son and his birth, to be here in this great community in such a great city. We appreciate everyone here, employees, the citizens, all of our elected officials. We ask that you be with us tonight, help us to do good things for all your people, because that's what it's all about. We ask, as always, that you watch over us in safety till we can meet again, forgive us of our sins, and again, a special thank you for your Son, Jesus, at this time of year. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
At this time, we have a couple of service recognitions of Jacob Hummer, 10 years, and and Mr. Charlie Broswell, 20 years. Congratulations.
Sir. Yes, sir.
We have some community champion recognition this evening, and we're very, very proud of these folks. First one is Officer Dustin Roscoe. Dustin has made a huge positive impact on our community. He might not only is an outstanding police officer, but is an excellent SRO for the students, parents of our community. Officer Roscoe has shown a great deal of leadership and have helped guide all of our students throughout their journey in their school life. I have a son with special needs who absolutely looks up to Officer Roscoe, who has gone above and beyond to make sure not only my son feels special, but every student he encounters, the look on the students' faces as he greets them every morning is priceless. These kids know that someone cares about them and that he is there to help them through tough times and help them celebrate the good ones. Dustin Roscoe is also a volunteer for many things throughout the community, including many student events and coaches for building Badgers. Officer Dustin Roscoe is an outstanding community champion, and Audrey Sanguinet nominated Officer Dustin Roscoe. Thank you. And you can stay put. Barbara Mayer. And she was nominated by Bessie Middleton. And it is my honor to read again, Barbara Mayer owns and operates Central Texas Serenity Caregivers, LLC. She takes care of our community elders, and she donates her time to assist elders with whatever medical equipment they may need to keep their independence. If a family can't afford the caregiver option but needs a wheelchair, she will give them one. If someone in the community needs hygiene or personal care products, Barbie makes sure their needs are met. She gets a lot of gently used items returned back to the organization after her and her team take great care of their patients, and their families no longer need those items. Her husband is a retired military, and she is a cancer survivor. She runs her company, taking care of our community elders, and sponsors different events. She inspires and she motivates anyone that crosses her path. She is always willing to do more, and she is a great example of what represents a community champion. Thank you, Barbara. All right, we're going to move on to our citizens' comments. It doesn't get any better than this right here on a Monday night. So, citizens' comment. Any citizens who desires to address the city council on a matter not included on the agenda may do so at this time, and we do not have anyone. So we'll go to citizens' comments. Any citizen who does desire to address the city council not on a matter that is included on the agenda may do so, and we do not have anyone there. Discussion and possible actions concerning the approval of minutes of the regular meeting held on November the 13th, 2023.
Recommend approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Consent agenda, discussion and possible action regarding September 2023 investment report.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Board and department reports. Chief Cummins.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mayor and council, good evening. Appreciate the opportunity to come visit for a minute, yearly report. Just tell you a little bit about ourselves and a few reminders. Of course, I'm the police chief. Assistant Chief Boswell has been with us tonight. Chief Boswell oversees 3 patrol sergeants, 1 code enforcement officer, an animal control officer, 1 animal shelter director, and she has 2 animal shelter technicians that work under her. On the other side of the house, Patrol Lieutenant Montgomery, who you've seen tonight, he has 2 patrol sergeants, 1 SRO sergeant, 9 patrol officers, and 4 school resource officers. And with the 4 school resource officers added to the SRO sergeant I mentioned, that's 5 SROs that we now have. Our dispatch supervisor, Kelly Sanguinette, she herself oversees the data entry clerk, who's also a dispatcher, and backs her up on many, many things, and helps her wear a lot of her many hats. And you add that to 8 dispatchers, and that gives us 10 total dispatchers now. And that's in addition to the 3 emergency medical dispatchers that we've added throughout the year. As for our emergency medical dispatching with our agreement with the county, we started about this time last year. We have 11 Citizens Police Academy alumni that have gone through our Citizens Police Academy and hang around to help us out. I think y'all all probably seen them numerous times at various events throughout the city throughout the year, and they help us great. We're very appreciative of them. We have 3 firemen that are also certified police officers that we hold their commission at the police department, and they help us at a lot of events, and they also help out the fire department with our investigations and anything else that kind of borders on criminal activity that they might come across while working. So it's a mutual benefit. So that gives us 37 total employees. That's 23 officers, counting myself down, with all those mentioned, 10 dispatchers, 3 animal shelter employees, and 1 animal control officer that actually works the street and works on those animal calls. Now, I know y'all see our statistics that we put out monthly, and Kelly does a yearly report that y'all see come January, which for the whole year. But there's a few of those numbers that I think really stick out to kind of give you an idea of how much activity our small police department has for our small city. So for the last year, this is November of last year through October, a few weeks ago, we had 39,337 phone calls that came into the police department in a 12-month period. So that's a lot of phone calls. That's a lot per day. 4,087 of those were 911 phone calls, so some type of emergency. Now, not all of them might have been life-threatening, but still serious. And again, it's all in the eye of who might be watching it, but it's still a lot of 911 calls. It requires a little more activity on the dispatcher department. We had 14,195 calls for service last year, or for in a 12-month period, generated 876 arrests, 1,599 traffic citations, 3,669 warnings, and we drove 180,868 miles on 26 vehicles that were assigned to us. So most of all those miles are in the city. We have to go outside occasionally, training, do some transports, things like that. But that's a lot of miles in and around our city in a year, which is patrolling and hopefully preventing a little crime in responding. Our Citizens Police Academy alumni, they volunteered 674 hours last year. And again, we're very appreciative of all the activity they put in and all their hard work. Our code enforcement officer, Tony Barrio, he produced 372 code enforcement calls. A lot of those are people calling in because there's an issue. They might email in to our computer system through the city. But a lot of those are just self-initiated where he's out and about and notices something and takes care of it. He does a lot of work, and a lot of his work requires a full report. It's not just a short, get out, talk, and go. So he does a lot of work, and he's busy all day, every day. He also helps our patrolmen out every day, all day long, when any call, backing them up, finding them service, and then he'll go back to his primary mission when he can. With our emergency medical dispatch, now this is the part with the ambulances we're talking about that we've been doing for about 12 months because we started it in October of last year. So we had 1,791 ambulance dispatch calls in the city. Those were part of the 14,000 I mentioned on the left column. But 1,791 were actual ambulance calls in the city in the last 12 months. 1,294 were in the county. So working with our sheriff's department, we dispatched those ambulances out in the county. And that's 3,085 total ambulance calls that came into our facility one way or the other, through a regular phone call or through primarily 911, or transferred over from the sheriff's department so we could handle the ambulance part. And we took care of the final ambulance dispatching for them. And I think our dispatching crew and Kelly Sanguinette, with the assistance of Mary, has done a great job in taking this on this last year, which worked really good. We worked well with the sheriff's department, and we've worked excellent with the Hamilton EMS. It's been a good relationship, and it's been good all the way around. So pretty proud of our crew for taking care of all that and getting it done. Our animal shelter, our animal shelter, they took in $439 last year, 479 cats, and 18 other various assorted animals. Now to remind you, our shelter is a combined project. It's city property. The shelter was built about 12 years ago, half and half with the county, and we split the bills every month with what it costs to run the shelter. We employ the shelter supervisor through the city and her 2 technicians. We have 1 animal control officer that patrols. They have 1 animal control officer that they pay that brings animals to and from the shelter. And that's the way the facility works. And I think it's worked great. We're very fortunate, I think. Casey had her yearly inspection by the state a couple of weeks ago, and Charlie and I went and visited with the inspector while she's there. And she told us again, like she's done the last several years, that ours is a model facility, not only on how well it's run, but the combination project with the county, and they actually use us as an example when anyone is thinking about building a shelter within her region. She says, y'all might want to give them a call. This is the way they do business, and it works great. So I know it's one of those things that's easy to kind of overlook, but if you've never been and you have a chance, it's really a neat place, and I think we're lucky to have it for our size of city and Will County and to have a working relationship like we do. Pretty proud of everybody that runs it. It's a nice deal. A handful of things you might not think about that we do daily that a larger city might not, just because they don't have the time or because they're geographically spread out, is we still unlock cars if somebody calls. Do our best. We'll jumpstart a vehicle. A lot of times, several times a month, if not more, someone calls and says, "Will you just come talk to my child? I'm having a problem." By all means, we go, we talk, we do our best. Bank escorts stand by for our 3 banks when they move money from their ATMs or something else is going on and they need assistance. We do the money drop-offs with the city. Anytime anybody else, a business will call us, occasionally something will be going on. By all means, we go and we help. Speaking engagements, whether they want the police chief to come looking for it and talk about something, or again, they want us to come to a Girl Scout or Boy Scout event, one of our patrolmen or our SROs, be glad to speak to anybody about anything within our realm that we think we can talk about and maybe make a difference. And we do a lot of those every month and all year long. We do a lot of paid security on the side. If someone's having an event, they just like an officer there. As long as it's not too far away, we'll be glad to help. We do funeral escorts, which you don't see a lot in big cities unless you pay for it, but that's part of our duties, and we do it for free and be glad to do it. Traffic escorts, oversized loads, or anything else coming through town that might be dangerous if they think they might need a little help. If someone calls and just wants a ride, we're on top of it, glad to go, don't mind doing it. We help our hospital out, people that need to, just here and there, whatever. We do a lot of those. Our patrolman will answer animal calls after hours if we don't hesitate. We can't always do as good of a job because we might not have the equipment with us, but we try to do the best we can if somebody calls about an animal problem after hours or weekends to do what we can to take care of it until someone can get there. Civil standbys, that's a very broad term, but if someone's having a disagreement, could be business, could be property, could be a separation, could be a child issue. If someone calls and just needs us to come be here to help keep things calm while they take care of business, we'll be glad to do that. You probably don't get that in a larger city at all, and again, they just can't do it because of the amount of people and the geography. People come in all the time wanting their fingerprints taken for lots of things, like getting a license here out of state, maybe a background application for a job, bringing a packet. We'll do those for free, and we don't mind doing them. We have a little station set up there in the small office right outside the lobby. And we have a car seat program where we can provide instruction and car seats for free through a grant, and our CPAAA has taken that over the last few years. So if someone lets us know or we come across someone that needs a car seat and they can't afford it, we can fix them up, get them done properly. And I think that's really a unique and neat thing, and I'm glad our CPAAA has taken that over. A few of the programs that we do throughout the year is our LCHEC, Community County Higher Education Coordinating Center. In June, they always do a college for kids right after our schools get out. And we do 2 days with them, and it's pretty neat. Our investigators, Charlie and a couple of his crew, they do a mock crime where we try to find the mascot that got stolen from the local high school. It's pretty neat. It takes about 4 hours, and the age group is about 3rd grade through 6th grade. And we usually have 10 or 12, and it seems like a few more every year. But they get to fingerprint, they get to collect evidence, they get to package the evidence, and then they get to figure out and try to figure out through the clues who did what. And they just love it. It's really a neat thing. It's a good public relations for us, and we like doing it. We added, I think, year before last, an extra day, and Sergeant Sheldon and his SROs took that on. And they go up the second day and spend several hours with them, going over all their equipment. Let them get in the patrol car, play with all the buttons, literally, all the lights and the sirens, just short of letting them drive it, I think. But Sheldon's also our drone operator, so he takes his drone, and they don't get to fly it, but it's pretty neat. It's on the video, and he lets them go over there, video that, drive that thing over there, let's see that. So it takes them about 4 hours, and they give it a gun run through, and they have a really good time doing that. So we do that with L-Check, and it's a cool deal. DEA drug take back, we'll accept prescription narcotics in the lobby, and we have a drop-off of 365. But 2 times a year, DEA promotes this in the spring, and we just did one a few weeks ago. It was the same night as Saturday as Square City, actually. So we set up out front with our Citizens Police Academy and a couple of our officers, and for about 6 hours, you can drop by, drop off your prescription narcotics. You're cleaning out your cabinet. Maybe there's been someone passed and you have a whole lot of stuff. And we package it all up, and then everything we've taken in the last 6 months, plus what we pick up that day, we drive it to the DEA in Round Rock right now. They've got a drop-off spot, Cedar Park, I apologize. And we do that twice a year. And I don't know how many pounds, top of my head, to Charlie on the spot, but about every 6 months, how many pounds of prescription narcotics have we taken?
157 pounds last 6 months.
All right, like Fidel drove down 157 pounds of prescription narcotics. Now you think, what would have happened with all that if we weren't taking it in? Well, they'd be flushing it down the toilet or throwing it in the trash. And from what we understand in modern times, that comes right up in our water supply. A lot of it does. So that is a really good program, and we utilize it greatly, and our community utilizes us. So we're glad to do that. Spring Hill, I think that speaks for itself. A lot of work for us, but glad to help. It's a lot of fun. National Night Out was a huge success this year. The last few years, of course, we couldn't have it because of COVID for a year, 2 years. And last year getting started again, but it was even bigger this year than last year. So it's great. We really appreciate HEB sponsoring that and helping us out because they pay for 99.9% of everything. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy it. Our PDFD Luncheon and Toy Drive, I won't be bashful. That's Monday, 11 to 2. Y'all come out and support us. Anybody else that's listening in the community. It's the Lampasas Volunteer Fire Department primarily, and they raise money and funds for toys for those less privileged. We'll feed you for your trouble. So come see us at the fire department. Chief Smith and his guys are getting everything polished and clean this week, and we'll be ready to go on Monday, I think, as long as everybody does what they say they're going to do. But it's a neat deal. It's big. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun. We really have a good time with it all. Probably about 25 other events that we plan every year that are pretty standard that involve street closures that y'all bless. And then probably half a dozen or so things that we just support, y'all may or may not hear about that don't involve street closures or quite so big. And if something comes up throughout the year, we're glad to slip it in there and get it done for everybody as long as we can and help out all we can. This last year, we put 5 police academy cadets in the program and have them on the streets right now for you. That's a lot. And it's just a sign of modern times. Things have kind of changed over the last handful of years for various reasons. We've all got our theories, but the workforce is thinner, and being a police officer doesn't appear to be quite as exciting as it used to be. Maybe it's just the way times are, and it's really getting hard to find people, especially police officers. So we started paying cadets to go through. Now, we've done this over the years. It's just not as many as we're having to do right now. Now, the good side is we've got 5 extra officers working for y'all right now, and they're part of that 9 that I just mentioned that are standard patrol officers. So 5 out of our 9 have started within the last year, so that's a lot of young people. I don't guess it's that much more work, is it, Chuck? Having 5 brand new people on the street out of 9? Nah, not at all. But they're good people, and so that's what we've learned. And we're able to put cadets through. They're very appreciative. All of them have some kind of tie to our community and didn't grow up here their whole lives. So you're getting good people. It's just different for us, and we're learning, and I think it's just the way we're going to have to take care of business for quite some time. Every now and then they work for us for a few years and then they quit, but there's only a few of those. Is that right? Councilman? Most of the time, though, they hang on a little longer. Last year, we were very fortunate to receive our Best Friends grant. If you remember, we came and visited with y'all about that. About $80,000 with a chance for a few more bucks at the end. That has been an unbelievable asset to our shelter. Casey, I have to give her credit. She worked very hard to get it, and she's working very hard to maintain it because they dish it out to us, a chunk at a time. And they're very pleased with what she's done. The whole idea of the thing is to get animals ready to adopt, cats and dogs, primarily. And what it does is they bring in
vets to the facility, so we don't have to take these animals to the vet, get them cleaned up, minor medical care, get them their shots. That way, when people want to come in and adopt something, they're ready. They don't have to say, we're taking this, this one and that one to the vet 2 days from now, et cetera. And, the proof's in the pudding, and her numbers are up as far as adoptions, and that's what it's about. And right now, I don't guess we broke ground on our cattery, but I think the shovels are leaning up against the building. Charlie's been working hard on that part of that project, along with Frank, the city, and get everything approved and all. But we're about to build an approximate 20 by 30 foot building onto the edge of the shelter, which is going to be a cattery, a term we've all learned. But we were about to have to do something, and we happen to have got this grant, so it worked out perfect, so they're all about it. So it's a cat room is what it is. Not only to house them, but it's large enough for the people to come in, take a look at the cats, get them out, and to play with them and get them adopted. But again, it's working great. Our numbers are up, and I'm very fortunate that this grant came along, as it did. Again, I've got to give Casey kudos for working very hard on this program. It's a neat deal. We took on a project that Sammy, my predecessor, kind of started and hinted towards. We've had a specific policies and procedures ever since I've been here. But again, this goes back to prior computers and paper and updating by copying and pulling out and putting papers in and trying to keep up to date with the legislature. A few years ago, we started working on trying to get this computerized. And that's what we've done. We have used a company that we have done online training for years that we're happy with. And we're updating our specific police policies and procedures throughout the last year. And we estimated it'll take us probably a good year or two. Not just for the police side, but also there's a specific module for our dispatching side. So we think another 3 or 4 months and we may be through with our police part. Hopefully we'll have all of our dispatchers through with their EMD training that they're still working on right now, and then that'll be a good time to tackle the dispatch policies and procedures. By that time, we'll be up to date, we'll be computerized, and as our legislature makes changes or there's civil litigation, we'll be easily to get this in and out and get our officers notified, and that way they're up to speed very quickly as opposed to the other days. So pretty proud of that. It's been a lot of work, and Chuck has worked extensively on getting that done for us. So thankful for that and for him. Our eclipse preparations, I think y'all are all very aware of. It's been a lot for us in the last couple of years, and we're coming along, and I think we in the city are very happy about where we're at. We'll all know soon enough, but we're working hard on it, and we're kind of excited to see where it all goes. Our challenges and opportunities for the future is, again, growth, population, and staff. I think it's no different than anybody else with the city and any other departments. You just don't know. Things are changing, things are moving. Not explosion-wise, but every little bit for a small city, is a lot of work. And so I think we're in a good spot right now for whatever happens in the future. We're excited. I mentioned a little bit about recruitment and retention. As we get these new officers, especially as academy cadets, working the best we can to make sure things work well so we can keep this investment we've all made in these young people right here in-house. Right now, things seem to be looking really good, so we sure hope to keep them aboard because they're doing a great job. They're looking sharp. Equipment, the more people you hire, the busier you get, the more things, computerized technology. It's a lot of work, but I think we're in a great spot. We work great with our city hall, and especially our IT department. It's unbelievable how much computerization is in our cars and our dispatch these days. It comes in a little bit at a time, but sometimes we need to step back and look and think. When I started, there was a landline phone and had 3 lines on it. Crime stoppers, not emergency, and emergency. And that's how they're listed in the phone. And, the police cars, you had 2. You had the county channel and you had the PD channel. That was it on the radio. To look where we're at now, it's just unbelievable. And to keep it all going is just a huge task. And again, Chuck is our self-anointed technology guy at the police department. He works hand in hand with our IT department. And it's just scary to think what if, any one of the things exploded one day and how we would operate because we've gotten so used to every little part of what we do involving computers and the technology. So it's just amazing. And anyway, I appreciate it for him and Monica and her department and all that they do for our cars and our dispatchers to get things taken care of. But that is always a challenge and it'll never change. It's the same way for everybody. So I'm not whining, but it's a lot of work. And again, our Eclipse, we're still holding on and making changes and tweaking and adjusting, and I think we're going to be good. Anyway, that about sums it up in a nutshell. I think it's a good little department. I'm very proud of where we're at. I'm proud of our staff. I'm proud to be in the position we are. And I'm proud of the city. A lot of neat things going on right now. And it's a good place to be, I think. And if y'all got any questions at all about anything we do, now or later, I'll be glad to answer them now. I'll be glad to meet with anybody, or you're always more than welcome to talk to any of our staff about anything going on.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything?
Chief, thank you very, very much for all that you guys do.
Very welcome. On behalf of myself and everybody that works for me. Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Routine matters, city manager's operational report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just a few brief comments related to the memo included in your packet. Just a quick report on the LEDC meeting on November 15th. They spent a fair amount of time talking about the process for development of their strategic action plan, which was also a topic at your previous meeting. Again, those categories that they were, the board was asked to provide input, and council may wish to provide input now or in the future on these items, but the perceived position in real estate, utilities, transportation, workforce and education, business environment, and quality of life. Also, some byproducts of the conversation included possible synergy with Central Texas College, additional networking opportunities, review of the fiber optic deployment, and possible community stakeholder meeting. Additionally, the board took action on monument and real estate signage and received some explanation for recent flattening of the sales tax. And to that end, you've also got a memo from the comptroller's, excuse me, not a memo, but a press release from the comptroller's office citing some of the conditions that existed at least earlier this fall. TA grant, council probably remembers that the city did apply for a TxDOT Transportation Accessibility Program grant. That was for improvements to pedestrian bicycle ways, basically from Western through downtown up to West North Avenue. Unfortunately, we received notification, it was last week, I believe, that the city was not, the application was not selected for funding. We can continue to review routes that could match funding opportunities, whether that's from TxDOT or perhaps even Parks and Rec. Excuse me, Parks and Wildlife. The first weekend in December, I've got quite a few things going on, and I think Becky has also sent you an email about other activities going on later in the month. But just to let you know, Carol Lights will be December 2nd. The parade will start about 6:30, and the city is typically well represented through the Public Works Department and other departments. The motorcycle toy run will be December 3rd. That's the day that we have typically 800 to 1,000 motorcyclists coming through town from parts east of here. They will terminate at Putters and Gutters. Really, we provide some traffic assistance and traffic control for that group, but generally it's conducted without incident. And then also just remember December 4th for lunch down at the fire department. Bring a toy, have some worthwhile fellowship, and the toy distribution, I believe, will be the 16th, Chief?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Gateway sign, I think we've reported to you previously, we continue to work in cooperation with Vision. Actually, we are assisting. Vision is doing the heavy lifting on this, okay? I'm not going to mince any words. We are assisting with the foundation and the relocation of the fence. That'll be south on 183 at the Bumpus property. We're very excited about that. We think they're about ready to go as soon as we take care of the foundation needs, as well as the relocations of the fence. Staff would like to recognize the following employees who began their City of Lampasas careers in November. Scott Haverly, 7 years. Charlie Boswell, 20 years. Jacob Hummer, 10 years. Derek Eichert, 8 years. Mary Mendez, 16 years. Joe Schwartzer, 16 years. Mary Garcia, 6 years. Amanda Knoll, 1 year. Micah Harry, 9 years. Joshua Palacio, 8 years. Dwayne Griffith, 14 years. We have also begun the advertisement and hiring process for Van Berry's replacement and for the Deputy Fire Chief position. You have to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Finley. 6.0, any unfinished business? 7.0, new business. Discussion and possible action regarding canceling the December the 25th, 2023 City Council meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is pretty customary every year. We normally cancel the second meeting in December. This time it does fall on December 25th, so we would ask that we would cancel it this year as well. So to consider a motion to approve the request to cancel the City Council meeting scheduled for December 25th.
I move to cancel the city council meeting scheduled for December 25th, 2023.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
7.2, discussion and consider action on the proposal from Jones and Herroy Associates Incorporated to study supplemental and alternative water sources in a lump sum of $55,000.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This item was actually discussed and came to light through the FY24 budget process. At that time, through the budget process, Council directed staff to include funds for the study of possible water alternatives and supplemental sources. To that end, a draft scope of work was presented to Council on September 25th, and we provided an update to Council on October 9th, 2023, and that's after we further vetted that scope of work with staff as well as a consulting engineer. The scope of services aligns, that's included in the proposal in your packet, aligns with the draft previously presented to Council, perhaps just significantly in item number 3, which includes primarily an assessment of existing infrastructure at Stillhouse Lake and any Kentner Water Supply Corporation transmission needs. Also, I would like to note that the proposal is slightly above the budget. We budgeted $50,000. The proposal is $55,000. We currently do have ample budget balance in that line. As indicated in Mr. Jones' email that's included with the packet, we do receive some additional value from the groundwater subcontractor based on their broad experience and their ability to assess possible injection sites in the event we do want to further investigate the RO. Mr. Jones is in attendance and is available for anything I missed, Jason, or any questions from council.
I'll just be happy to answer any questions.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposal to professional services review of local water supply alternatives with Jones Hero and Associates in a lump sum amount not to exceed $55,000.
Second.
Any discussion? What is the additional $5,000?
There's a free fee breakdown in our proposal. I'll point to real quick, and you'll see there I've got 3 different subcontractors that we're going to engage for this process, and the groundwater study was the most significant part of that as far as the subcontractors go, $20,000. I was hopeful that we could get something a little lower cost than that for a groundwater study, given the resources we know that are limited in this area. Unfortunately, that's kind of the going rate for this type of deal. These groundwater hydrogeologists are extremely busy in this state. I did talk to 2 other companies with no luck there. I think this wet rock is bringing a lot of value to the table. They're as much eliminating options as they are giving us some things that we can work with here. And as Stanley mentioned, something that they're adding to the table is they've got some experience in deep well injection, which any surface water treatment for the creek is going to have probably an RO or equivalent process that produces a brine, a really salty waste stream that we've got to get rid of. And so deep well injection is used in the oil and gas industry quite common. These folks bring that to the table. So I recommend that we use them. And that's really where the overage came from, is the groundwater study.
Do you have experience working with these groups before?
Yes, absolutely. The SD Common is a colleague, a good friend, and he's offered his support. He's actually the engineer for Central Texas Water Supply Corporation at their plant, very familiar with that plant, and has done a little work with me at Kentner Water Supply Corporation. Gemini Seawater Systems, that's a company that a colleague of mine that I worked with here in Lampasas is from Florida. He's got 50 years in the business. He came from Florida, and Florida has kind of pioneered the RO process for seawater desalination. And this is a gentleman that's willing to help us out. He's actually doing a little work in Texas, but bring some of his experience in Florida and apply it here. And then, of course, I spoke to the groundwater hydrologists. So they've worked in this county too, and Ackerman Engineering actually recommended this gentleman with Wet Rock.
What is a groundwater study? What does that look like? Obviously you're going out and looking for water in the ground.
It's a desktop study is what it is. So they're reviewing records. There's a pretty extensive set of records from the Texas Water Development Board and their local work from developers in the area. As you're aware, if you're not aware, particularly in Barnett County, they've been doing this for a long time. Any subdivision has to do a groundwater availability study for their lots in Barnett County. And so we're fortunate we can draw on some of that information that these guys have been a part of. So it's really it's a desktop analysis assembling this information. There's also a lot of modeling that's been done for the region on the Trinity Aquifer and some of these local aquifers that we're going to be looking at here. So they're pulling that model information. They call it available groundwater that the state looks at for water supplies. They're comparing that to what they're seeing locally in the data from other wells and other developments and other studies. So it's you know, what we're really paying for here is their expertise. You know, they'll tell you where to find the information. We can't go get that without their help.
Yeah. I had a question, because one of the things that you brought up was the deep water drilling, or the deep water, like, is that when are you talking about like once, because you had said that when we were looking at what we get out of Sulphur Creek, if we treated that, we ended up with a whole lot of stuff that couldn't go back into the creek. Is that what would they then put that down like deep in the land, or?
Yeah, there's two options for it, and we're going to look at one option, which is a common to do deep well injection. We don't have the ability in every part of the state to do that. The aquifer has to be conducive for that. We're talking 10,000 feet below the ground. You know, it's a very deep well. The other option is to blend it and either put it back in the creek or use it via the wastewater treatment plant would be blended there. We don't want to hurt the biology in the plant, so we're looking at considering taking the effluent, the treated effluent from your plant, which is mostly surface water with, I'm going to call it total dissolved solids, low TDS, so it has a lot of blending capability with the high total dissolved solids coming out of this RO treatment process. We can blend that together and possibly irrigate the golf course with it, something like that. The golf course is used to seeing pretty high TDS water from the creek already. So those are the kind of the two options that are playing around in the back of my mind to get rid of this waste stream.
Okay.
You know, the other option is to not get rid of it and drink it. That's what the city did for a long time before you got to let still have water. So
It just sounded interesting, so I was just curious. Thank you.
So from this study, Mr. Hero, we'll be able to make a decision on how to move forward with water availability?
yes, we're not going to solve the water problem, but we are going to make recommendations for next step to be able to focus your next efforts as part of this. And I want to be clear, I don't expect to find a water source that's going to take the place of what you've got now.
Right.
What I expect to find is the recommendation for a water source to augment what you've got now, so that when the primary source goes down, instead of it lasting 24 hours, maybe it lasts a week or 3 days. You know, there's a big difference between that and 24 hours. Something you can rely on locally whenever that source goes down.
And just because you had mentioned the Trinity Aquifer, what is that, the aquifer that services that Lampasas County most of us get to, or is it the Trinity Aquifer, or is there different aquifers? Because you said something about multiples.
The Trinity is the most well-known aquifer, extends from the Red River all the way down way south of here. And so that's the major aquifer in this area. There's some minor aquifers. Ellenberger San Saba is one of them. Hickory is another one that rings a bell. I may mention
Because we're too far north for Edwards, right?
Yes, we're too far north for Edwards. So there's some local minor aquifers that are kind of originate west of here and south of here, Burnett County and west of here. Marble Falls is one of them. Got a lot of people around in Burnett County. I think what we can do is probably tap those aquifers to maybe supplement the surface water plant when your creek flows are low, springs are low, that kind of thing.
If we tap those aquifers, is there any kind of tax implications that consumers will absorb, I guess? Like, I'm thinking of like mud districts and stuff like that. Would property owners have any kind of tax
No,
requirements?
I mean, it depends on where the well is. You know, you see some of that, if you got a lease agreement with the landowner to pump water from their land, that sort of thing, you could be paying that. But no, sir, not. This is gonna be I envision a wholly owned city project. There wouldn't be anything other than what the city needs. You've got a tremendous resource here with the surface water right that's on Sulphur Creek. I don't think this would be worth pursuing if you didn't have that, to be honest with you.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Discussion and possible action regarding a request to close Bridge Street from East 4th to Mill Street on December 16th, 2023 from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. for the community toy drive to help mitigate traffic congestion.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council. What we have before us is probably one of the bright spots that came out of COVID when we started dealing with this and trying to make sure that we had a way to hand out the toys during Christmas time. We came up with the drive-through toy pickup. And in doing this, we've asked that we can close down Bridge Street between East 4th and Mills. And what we do is we line them up through there. We have one home that's right there back behind the station. We talk with that homeowner, get their permission, let them know what's going on and everything. We make sure that they have a way in and out. We make sure that nobody gets on their property. We've got one business. We've spoken with them. It's of no problem to them or anything like that, but we close that street down. It keeps us out of all the traffic going through there and allows us to move people in and out. And where we used to do this for about 4 or 5 hours, now we've got it down to where we've got 2 to 3 hours of good traffic going through there, and we can fill it out. So with y'all's permission, we'd like to be able to close down that street for that day for 4 hours.
I move to approve the road closure for the community toy drive to help mitigate traffic congestion.
Second.
Any discussion? I've got one question.
Yes.
Where did you get that Red Raider coat with your name on it?
I can blame this on the previous administration in the fire department. Oh, I'm sorry, this was a compliment. No, these are our issued jackets that we wear, and this does provide illumination when we're out on a roadway or anything like that, so it's kind of ironic we're talking about shutting down a roadway, but it is about safety, so that's why we have these flash and dash looking jackets here. They are expensive because it's fire service, so therefore it's expensive.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Thank you.
Thank you. 7.4, discussion and possible action regarding the appointment of Mariah Clary to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Parks and Recreation Board, they do have a vacancy for Little League. And at their November 16th meeting, they did recommend approval of Mariah Clary to fill that position for them. So this evening, I'm considering a motion to appoint Mariah Clary to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board.
I move.
So moved.
All right.
Second. Who's up? Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
We'll go to 8.0, 8.1, into executive session for the council to deliberate personal matters, appointments, employment, evaluation, reassignment duties of city manager and other personnel matters as allowed by Texas Government Code 551. Can I get a motion?
Move to adjourn to executive session, reconvene regular session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
There was no action coming out of executive session tonight, and if we could get a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?